kind of moved on to Zach Scott Games. Zach plays like a bunch of Nintendo
Okay.
games like Mario and stuff like that. So he's now watching that. So I'm like, oh, thank God, I can sit
You
down and
moved
like
away from
watch
Blippi.
him. Yeah.
Oh, hey, we're live.
Woohoo! Woo!
We
I have to
are.
watch my language now. Bummer.
No, we're not clapping yet. We
So
will.
you lied to me.
No, we will be soon.
I'm just trying to organize.
Joe's having a panic attack.
Why?
I am not. Son of a bitch.
Who's
Stop
your
looking
guest?
at me.
Is Roderick a guest?
Yes.
He doesn't seem scary.
it's happening.
He's not.
Me? I'm very scary.
Oh, he's very scary.
Why is Joe scared?
Joe, I don't know why Joe's scared. I was joking. Get it? Joe King.
Is Joe a king?
I'm gonna go home now. I don't even have kids, and I'll make dad jokes. All right,
You have
I
a
dig
king.
it.
That's
That's
how
how
hang
I
around with a
roll.
bunch of dads.
that's true. It's true.
Yeah, I have a coffee mug that says "Dad puns." That's how I roll,
I roll. Yeah.
and a pair of eyes rolling in the coffee mug.
Wow.
This is
I
why
love
we
me
can't
some
have
dad
nice
jokes.
things.
That is.
Oh man!
I
All
love
right,
it.
time to shut. Time to get those sounds off.
Sounds?
I still have Discord.
Yeah,
Beeping
I've muted the.
You
the
know how
dis-
to turn off just one app's volume,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
I just did it. Oh, so much calmer in my head.
Someone said hi to me in the Discord partners server with an Animal Crossing freaking emoji or GIF.
Where?
It's a super secret server that I
Oh.
can't give links to, but I'm trying to get more.
Oh my
Oh, I love
god!
it.
But it's literally everyone welcome. It's like, oh no.
You have to answer. There's a whole backstory behind that Animal Crossing now.
Sadly,
That's hysterical.
cannot do that. I don't want to give my secrets away. All right. Let me get my beard in check. Okay. Dingo.
You all
chill.
right? You all right, Joe?
No.
Okay.
No, of course not.
As long as just making sure.
I had a wisdom tooth pulled Tuesday.
Oh yeah.
That was
so,
super
so
fun.
you're a little less smart.
Yes, I lost a little bit of wisdom, and I might
Yeah.
have another one pulled next week.
So disadvantage on wisdom saving throws. Got it.
Yep. Yeah. And speaking of throws, we're going to be talking about Roderick's dice making because I remember you and me were having a conversation like 2 months ago, and you were like, let's make some dice. I'm like, yeah. And it was like, I'm broke right now.
I want to make dice.
And then you
Oh,
made
it's so much
those.
fun.
Yeah, but dude, it's like I watch a TikTok video and somebody made some dice like that with like the mold. They just let it dry, and it's like I'm watching Roderick here, like a goddamn microbrewer with like a kiln, and it's
Yeah,
in
pressure
this
pot
thing.
and stuff,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's in a pressure pot. It's in this. Oh, I gotta let it cure a little longer, and I'm like, yep, totally out
So
of my
you
league.
can make shapes, or you can actually make dice, right? You see these people that are
make
building them
actual
out of the
dice.
molds, right? Right. You
Yeah.
see them build them out of the molds. They're not balanced. They're not. Yeah.
Right, but there's still shiny math rocks that I need to have.
Shiny math rocks. I love it.
It's not original.
I don't care.
stole it from
You
somewhere.
own it.
Oh yeah, I've heard that so many times. I think Ellie Bean actually said that when we were playing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you guys are ready, I'm ready.
I'm ready.
I'm as ready as I'm gonna be.
Why? What are we doing?
We're starting the podcast.
Oh, that thing. Yeah, no, I'm
We've
ready.
been recording through my rants and stuff like that. So
Ah, crap.
We do that all the time. Everyone ready for that clap?
You got it.
All right. 1, 2, 3. The information presented in this podcast is of a general nature and is intended for educational and entertainment purposes. While many of the people here have some form of mental health training, they are not your mental health professional. This podcast is not a replacement for mental or physical care or for the diagnosis of any mental health conditions or illness. So, hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us once again for the Guardians MH podcasts. I'm one of your hosts, Dr. Goku, and with me tonight is my friend Joe,
Hello.
Nate,
Hey.
and Matt.
Hi.
If you're joining us for the first time, Guardians MH is a 501c3 nonprofit focused on promoting mental health awareness throughout the gaming community, and with being a first step in assisting individuals with gathering meaningful resources in a safe and inclusive atmosphere. Our podcast is just another way to normalize talking about mental health and is a fusion about mental health topics and gaming. So tonight, please welcome our guest, Roderick. How
Hey
you
there.
doing, Roderick?
I'm doing pretty good.
What's up, buddy?
Yo.
What's going on?
Dude, I know I'm speaking for everybody, but, I'm totally comfortable with that. Most of us, you play with us, but, dude, I'm so excited to have you come on with us tonight, and it's been too long before having you back on. I mean, it's been a
too
while.
long. Way too long.
Way too long, and a lot's happened in between then and now, and I'm so excited to catch up with you and just chat, man. Like, oh, man, I'm so excited to have you on.
You're making me blush, Joe. You're making me blush.
Oh, come on. I make you blush every time we game together.
You got
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Roderick. What power do you have? You got Joe all flustered and everything. It's great.
I don't know, man.
He has that magic touch.
Yeah, like, what's
It's
the
the
secret?
beard game. That's what it is.
That's
Gotcha.
what it is. That's
Gotcha.
what it
Magical
is.
beard.
I got to step mine up a little bit. All right,
Yeah.
good to know. Good to know.
I told the wife the other day, I said, you know what? I'm not going to shave until I go back to work. And so it might be like another year. I might end up looking like you, Joe, here in 6 months. Let
That's-
this sucker
that's
grow
goals.
out, get a big long one. Yeah.
That's goals. Like, I've actually trimmed it a little bit, but I want to get it a little bit longer. I told my wife I want a new like beard trimmer for
Yep.
Christmas. She's like, you have like 2 of them. I go, you're right. I do have 2 of them, but they don't really do all too much when your children lose all the attachments for it. So unless I just want to clean shave that thing down to like just baby face again, I need a new one. So
Now here's a question: do you do the whole like beard oil and like beard moisturizer and shampoo?
to an extent, welcome to Beard Talk.
Oh, manly.
I have a beard wash I do use. My beard's pretty rugged, and I use a sort of like a
Damn right it
conditioner.
is.
And the cool thing is, I love using this, like describing it. Does anybody remember the toothpaste that was like the micro like bubbles, and like you'd start brushing your teeth with it, and it was just like you were like rabid. It
Yeah.
was just so
Yeah,
much
I remember
foam.
that. Yeah.
That's what this beard wash is. You could use like a pea size in your hand, and it's like, that's not gonna do nothing. And then it's just like, whoosh, and it's like Alka-Seltzer tablet. It just pulls out all the dirt and everything. And then after, I do use a beard oil, and I brush it out throughout the day and everything. And as a joke, my wife got me a beard straightener, and I tried it for the like. That's not gonna do anything, dude. They work, and
I was just
I'm
gonna
like,
say, I want one of those.
yeah, I want one. I want to go get it right now and just sit here on the podcast and straighten my beard.
Straighten the beard.
It looks cool. It's like ZZ Top when I get it all straight. But yeah,
Joe's working for his Gandalf the Grey cosplay that he's gonna be doing eventually.
All right.
yes. I was actually at work. We actually switched our regions again. So our zone is now a mega zone at work, and we're a part of the Eastern New York zone now. And I got to meet the big boss for that today. And
Ooh, stepping up in the world.
yeah, and first thing he said to me was, "Man, you got a big beard." And I go, yeah. And he goes, how much longer? You gonna grow it out any longer? I'm like, to be honest, I'd love to have a longer beard. He goes, nah, I think that's a good length right there. And it's like, okay.
Boss man said no.
Right.
If this is as long as it's gonna get, this is as long as it's gonna get. So,
He was being very subtle about his guidance there.
But I'll tell you what, I am beard envious of several people in the community's beards. I mean, some people have like, Dammit Bennett. You know Dammit Bennett from Zerwatch. He's got the most majestic ZZ Top freaking beard ever. Like, it's gorgeous. I saw him at PAX East in February. I saw him on the floor. I was running between things, trying to like go to one spot and then head back to our booth. And I just passed him, like he was just testing a game, and then I stopped for a second. I'm like, dude, you know, I'm Joe, and blah blah blah. I introduced, and it's like, before I left, I'm like, dude, awesome beard. I gotta go. Talk to you later. And I took off, and it's like I had to give him that. Like, you could see he stood up a little bit more because of that beard.
Ooh.
And then young Khan's got a gorgeous beard.
Yeah, there's someone that my brother-in-law watches, and it's like every time I walk in, and he's the same thing. He's got just a long, glorious beard, but he's graying in such the perfect way that it just is 3 stripes straight down the beard. It's like the salt and pepper, but it's real salty in 3 little stripes on it. I don't know how he pulled that off, but like just scored all the way through. And then I've got this, you know, if it gets any longer than that, it just kind of goes.
I love it. I love it. But we're not here about talking about beards and everything. But
Aww.
we are. Roderick, for those that might not know you and might not have caught an earlier episode with you, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'm a character artist. I work in the video game industry. Had multiple gigs at AAA studios, Sledgehammer Games, Bungie. Now I'm currently at PUBG. So I work on a bunch of awesome video games. You make a bunch of cool characters, combatants, bosses, player gear, things like that. Responsible for raid content and combatant work when I was at Bungie. At Sledgehammer Games, I was responsible for developing their gear pipeline, and now at PUBG, I'm working on some pretty exciting stuff that hopefully we can share in the future.
Very nice.
Awesome.
Oh, dude, I'm so pumped for what, it's so exciting. What you're doing with PUBG, I can't wait to see everything that's coming out. But I think everybody who plays Destiny has seen your work firsthand, from armor to the sweet work you've done on the raid bosses and the dungeon boss. Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
I remember going through the dungeon for the first time.
Which one? There's 3 now.
It was the second one, Pit of Heresy.
Okay.
Dude, it was like a ride along, like you'd see on stream. And it was just like Bungie and another buddy of ours. We were going through, and it's like, oh, I'm so glad they fixed this. And, you know, before it would just launch you into space, and oh man, I'm glad. And it was just like the process and like the world building behind it and everything. It's like, dude, this is such a treat.
Not many people get to kind of peer behind the curtain,
No.
because there's a whole bunch of work that goes into the games that most people aren't necessarily aware of.
Yeah, there's a ton of work that that goes in planning and coming up with ideas and things like that. That takes a lot of time and a lot of work, prototyping, having multiple teams, hundreds of people kind of help and develop new things. There's a lot of like things behind the scenes that happen that most individuals aren't aware of unless they're working in the video game industry.
We're far from the 2D platformers of yore,
Yep.
where people could make a game with this skeleton crew of a couple people and have it be amazing. And now we've gone to these multi-hundred or thousand people teams working on this one singular game.
Yep. Yeah, everything's got to be bigger, right? Like, I know when I was younger playing Zelda Ocarina of Time, you get to kind of the open world portion, which is just the field. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. Well, now, like, as time has progressed, we try to
Breath of
scale
the
that
Wild?
more and more and more.
Evelyn,
yeah,
what's
like
going
Breath of the
on?
Wild,
Thanks for
it's
joining
huge,
us.
It's massive. And then, like, you get to Red Dead Redemption. one of the
Mm.
biggest open world environments I've ever seen. And so yeah, bigger and better and requires more people and more money, more time.
The bigger it is, the more there are times or things that can break. And
Yep.
touch on that in that gaming news because we're not going to touch on the elephant in the room just yet.
Not yet. Oh man.
Oh,
Oh, Pixel Pixie, thank you so much for coming
But
and hanging out with
like
us.
Joe had
You're
mentioned,
awesome.
For people that may not be aware, how was it working for Bungie and working on so much of what we hear and so much of our audience loved?
Oh, it was amazing. The people I got to work with were great. A lot of great individuals at Bungie. The content that I got to create, amazing. It was fun. It was a lot of collaboration between different disciplines. Animation, design, VFX, concepting. So there's a lot of fun elements and a lot of fun things that I got to do. And working on raid bosses was probably one of my favorite things I did at Bungie because of all the different teams and individuals I got to work on. And then seeing the community take that content and compete for worlds first, amazing. I love it.
what's your what's your process like? Like, how do you start getting to work on a specific project, or where do you get your where do you get your ideas from? How do you start like a project, let's say?
Well, most of the ideas for like say raid content or different seasons and releases, things like that. A lot of that starts from a higher up level, where leadership tends to take in and look at, hey, what should we do for this next season? What should we do for this next big release? And they kind of define the core elements that they want to see, and then that gets passed down to the different teams. Since I worked on a raid team, mostly it was a lot of like, hey, what what do we think looks cool? What do you think would be fun to play? Let's get 20 some people um, in a room, the people that make the bosses that you fight, but also the people that make the raid mechanics, and let's just collaborate and start throwing ideas. So that's how most of the raids started. Somebody would set up a meeting, and there would just be tons of individuals pitching ideas and throwing around like, "Hey, it'd be cool if we did
Hey,
X, Y, and
God,
Z,"
brother.
or like,
Thanks
"Hey,
for
it'd
swinging
be
by
cool
in
if
the
we
host, brother,
got in
man.
a ship and like shot up to space,
Yeah, Roderick.
and then the space station crashed
Roderick's on
down."
hanging
Like
out with us tonight.
all of that was just like stuff that was thrown out in these
Yeah.
collaboration meetings, and things tend to stick, and you get support and individuals that are like, "Hey, I think that sounds cool. Let's make it happen." Um, and then we normally design normally writes up a spec sheet, and we pass that to concept, where concept will take and like, "Oh, you guys want panics? Write in a shank. Okay, here we go. Here's your concept for it." Then it gets passed to me to model and create, and then Chris Byrne or Ping Ping would take and do the animations for it, and like Jay Bakke or Glenn Gamble would take and do VFX for it, and it was a lot of collaboration, a lot of um, taking ideas and just kind of running with things. There were several times where it's like, hey, I think this sounds cool. We've got some time. Let's just do it. And one of those things was the dungeon boss, the big flame guy. I forget his name now, but it was like, hey, we got 4 weeks. What can we do? Just like everybody just was like, hey, this would be cool, and started like throwing stuff together. And I think we got one of the coolest dungeon bosses out of it.
Oh,
I agree.
absolutely.
I would agree too. But that's amazing because it's so many people involved in the process. You would think that egos would get involved or just, drama in a sense.
Yeah.
But you
You
guys
gotta
have
check that at the door.
No, absolutely. And it shows too because any of the raids and the dungeons, they are so intricate and equally different to the point where everything is brand new and the way that it looks is phenomenal. So clearly it's working.
Yeah, that's one thing at Bungie that like coming from Sledgehammer Games, we really didn't have that. There was a lot of like big egos and individuals that were very much like, hey, it's my way or it's the highway. Where at Bungie, it's very much like, hey, we're trying to make this big, massive game for the players, and there's 1,000 people doing it. We need to collaborate and compromise on things.
Yeah.
And so people tend to leave their egos at the door, and we all kind of work together. Which, you know, the 5 years I was at Bungie, there was a reason I was there for 5 years because
Right.
Right.
everybody was collaborating, everybody got along. But with that being said, you can get too big as a studio as well. There's a lot of people at Bungie, like I'd walk past them and be like, I have no idea who that is, and I've been here for 5 years. They might have been here just as long, So you still have some things like
They
that.
sit behind you in math class
Yeah.
for
Right.
5 years. Well,
You said hi to me in the hallway every day.
hey, guy.
You were talking about working on these bosses, and what I remember back in D1, the reveal for Crota and Oryx were kind of some of my favorite reveals for those
Ooh,
big
back in the
raid
day. Yeah.
back in the day. And I still remember the world's first run from Gathalion's team for Taken King, when no one had any idea that Oryx was just going to pop up from the end of that ship, and TRX was just peering over, and you just see this massive Oryx. It's like, oh my god, nope.
Oh, that's where that came from. Yeah.
Was that the first final stand mechanic that they put in a raid? Like, it kind of feels like it.
I don't remember.
I don't know.
Well, they had the enraged,
Right.
back in Crota. It was the eye.
It was
But I don't-
you've tried this too many times. You need to start over. That's the enrage. That's what that is. So,
But I think Destiny is one of the games that kind of does those boss reveals so much better than a lot of other games.
Yeah.
There's a lot of work that goes into those big reveals. A lot of planning, multiple teams, multiple people. The bigger the reveal, the more work it takes. Like Riven, extremely hard to create some of the content because of
when you're falling
how
down.
high res she is, how many joints she has, and all the different pieces that need to kind of fit together in the puzzle to work. It's some of those are extremely hard, and I'm always surprised when we're like, okay, we got 1 month, we got to finish this, and it's like, we got 1 week. Crap, are we gonna get it done? But
Right.
Bungie and the people there always tend to pull stuff together and complete things.
You know what it reminds me of when you were saying about all the joints and everything? It reminds me of I'm gonna, you know what? I use my daughters as reasons to watch animated movies. Like I say, it's for Emma. She wanted to watch this when it's really me.
No, you want to watch
yeah.
it,
Joe. The sequel to Finding Nemo, Finding Dory.
Such a good movie.
If you watch the
Fantastic.
behind the scenes and you you listen to the animators and the director talk, they talk about the octopus character in it, and the majority of the animation for like 6 years was just the animation on the octopus, because every limb and joint and everything was individually animated and then all put together, and it took so long to just get its movements down, like organically how an octopus moves, that the majority of the time spent for animation was actually just on that character throughout his scenes. Like, it just shows, like, and you can compare the two side by side with all the different teams being involved to incorporate all the different movements and high res and put everything together. It takes a lot of time and a lot of people to do that, and it really the payoff in the end is just amazing, because it's one of those things that people just love to revisit and check back out, and it turns out to, it stands out from the rest.
This is the difference between the 2D old school pencil animation. That's what I did prior to going to psychology school, and 3D animation.
Don't let him fool you. He's pretty humble. Doc is a killer artist. I've seen his work. He's really good.
Well, thank you. I don't
Learning.
practice enough.
I'm learning something new every day. I had no idea about this.
I went to art school for 2 years, so after high school. So I
He's-
did 2D animation.
My thing is too, when I started coding and everything for the RTS bot, I was sharing it with Roderick and having Roderick kind of look it over. The excitement on Roderick through just text was just like, "Oh man, what are you using for this? Oh, what are you? Oh, you're using? Oh, okay." And then we switched it over to Python, and he checked it out, dude. Just the excitement from it. And I know coding is a big part of all of this. It's not just just putting lines down on like a tablet or anything like that. There's a lot of coding and programs, and I couldn't even begin to fathom what everything is involved to just to create the most basic thing in game. Like just coding a flag takes lines of code. So it's beyond impressive. Are you allowed to share anything what you're working on now?
Oh, at PUBG, no, not at this time.
Damn it.
It's some. All I can say is it's some awesome stuff. I'm super excited to be a part of PUBG, being able to work on essentially what I enjoy doing, because I'm very much a technical artist. You won't really hear me say, "Hey, I'm an artist through and through, and I'm just going to draw and sculpt all day." That is not me. I would get bored out of my mind. I'm a more technical individual, and that's why I think I worked so well with the boss team was my ability to really get in, whether it was like doing code on stuff or getting in and doing more of the technical side of the character setup and doing lights and VFX and stuff. And so at PUBG, Dave Curd, the individual that hired me on there, he's really kind of given me the freedom to pursue different things to help improve PUBG, and it's a bunch of technical things that I get to work on. So I'm super excited. I'm having a blast.
That's awesome.
I'm enjoying the work I'm doing and the individuals I'm working with. So I'm super excited for the future. So that way we can when we start revealing stuff, joining you on a podcast again and showing you all the cool things.
Ooh.
You down with that? Now with COVID and everything being impacting like literally everybody on the planet, are you still working remotely?
Yep. Still working remotely. Man, it's gonna be hard to go back to work when work opens up. Like I had a son back in March. He's 9 months old now. I think he's 9 months old. Something 9, 10 months.
They grow up so fast.
Yeah, but like the difference between him and my first son, who's 5, like I had my son. I'd go to work, work 8, 9, maybe 10-hour days, come back home, spend like an hour with him, or maybe 2 before he would go to bed. I missed out on a lot of things, like seeing him take his first step, or all this other thing that they learn. So doing the work at home right in March, right, like 9 days or so before my wife had our second son, I got to stay home and work and see all these things that he's learning. And so going back to work and having to stay at work for 9, 10-hour days and then come home and only spend a couple hours with my kids, I'm hoping that the industry goes into a permanent, hey, you can work from home no matter what, unless you want to work in the studio, because I'd much prefer
half.
or half and half. I'd much prefer working from home, because like now I sit, I'm doing my work, I'm sculpting or typing or whatever, and my son, he'll come in and he'll like hug on me, and I'll like pick him up and hold him on my lap, and then he'll like smash my other keyboard while I'm working. And so I'm still
You have
able
a
to get
dummy
my work.
keyboard too?
I've got several of them. Yeah. So I'm able to get my work done and interact with my kids. I think I hope
huge.
work from home's here to stay because I'm enjoying it.
I think multiple companies have recognized that employees can work from home and be more productive at home.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and if you think about it, like you have a company like Bungie, let's say, 1,000 employees. You have this huge office space that you have to lease. You have
Rent.
to pay
Yeah.
for electricity and uh, air conditioning, computers, desks, all this crap. If you let everybody work from home, you're saving a lot of money in your facility costs. Um, and some of that money that you
Right.
save, you can kind of dish that back out to your employees and either increase their salary or give them bonuses to kind of purchase
Get better
things that they
setups at
need.
home.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Even if you partially subsidize their internet service, you know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you could essentially pay for the internet service 100%. And you'd still be saving money because you don't have this big facility.
Hook everyone up to fiber.
Yep, I got fiber right now. I freaking love it.
Rub it in,
Fiber's
guys.
amazing.
Rub it in.
Yeah, but
I want fiber.
if you allow employees to currently work from home too, like the Seattle, Washington area, super expensive. Cost of living was extremely high. Now, if you're paying somebody there and they're like, hey, I want to work from home permanently, I want to move to Nebraska. For whatever reason, I don't know why anybody would live there, but if you want to move to Nebraska and live out on a farm, well, that employee would probably take, a certain pay cut because of the cost of living so much cheaper there. So then you're
Right.
saving money there, and the employee gets to work from where he or she wants to. So I
Closer
think
to their
there's,
friends and family.
yep, exactly. And that was some of the reason why I left Bungie, because all my family is in the Midwest here. And so moving to the Midwest, it's like, hey, I'm not that far from my family, versus like being out in Seattle where it's like, I'm a 26-hour drive across the mountains and stuff.
Yeah.
So hopefully
That's no good.
more companies realize the benefit to that and move that direction.
I think a lot of people are recognizing sort of the benefits of it. And I think, like you said, just the cost effectiveness that it can create in a sense. There's pros and cons, I think, to both sides. But for specific jobs, I think it's going to happen. I really do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
There are
I think
jobs
some of
that
the
will
cons
need
are
to be
definitely
done.
being able to get to know individuals personally. Like working at Bungie was a whole lot easier to hang out and get to know individuals versus PUBG, only because of the fact that I'm in the same room with them, sitting next to them. So it's a lot easier to just start BSing and getting to know people.
Right.
Where at PUBG, I'm having to do that, force myself to make Zoom calls and things like that in order to kind of like build up those relationships. So there are some downsides to it like that, but I think the pros outweigh the cons.
Yeah. Absolutely.
At least for me, and I think for the game industry, anyways. Now there are definitely different different individuals that will have a harder time working from home. And I think if most companies implement like, hey, a permanent work from home or a permanent work from home plus part-time, half at home, half in the studio, and kind of allow these individuals to pick and choose what works best for them, I think is the best route. Kind of like Square Enix, they came out here the other day and said that they're going to allow individuals to permanently work from home or be a half and half, and they figured that 80% will choose to stay at home working permanently, and then the other, I think it was 10%, would remain in the studio permanently, and then the final 10% would kind of do a hybrid method where they work 2 or 3 days at home and then 2 or 3 days at work.
And like you were mentioning, that's going to save a lot on those external fees of building AC, just things that people don't think about. And working from home, what people don't really, or they may have thought of, is you don't have to do the commute.
Yep, exactly. My commute, on average, commuting from Monroe, Washington to Bellevue, was an hour to an hour and 10 minutes. um, to and from work. So every
That's 2
day it was
hours.
like 2 to 2.5 hours. If some individual decided to get in an accident on the interstate, then it's like, hey, easily 2.5 hours today going to and from work. You know, you multiply that by 5 days a week, you know, by the entire year, and it's like that is a lot of time that I'm missing with my kids and my family. Yeah,
And that
a
extra
commute was a big
hour,
one for me.
because if you don't change your schedule, a lot of people, when they are working from home, just, oh, I could just sleep in a lot longer. But if you keep on that same schedule, that extra hour that you have, that alone time, relaxation time at home prior to starting work can be huge.
Yep.
It's one thing that I say to a lot of my clients is, certainly now from working from home, is now you have the time, if you keep that same schedule, rather than rushing out the door, take the extra half hour, make yourself that coffee that you never got the chance to do.
Yeah.
Now we have snow, but you can't really go on your deck, but go on your deck, listen to the birds, and drink your coffee in silence.
Yep. Yeah, and that's essentially what I've been doing. Like my son, he gets up at 7, and my wife and my youngest, they will sleep until about 8. And so I'll get up at 7, I'll go downstairs, I'll make my coffee, and we'll put on some TV, and he'll just snuggle up next to me. I'll drink my coffee for an hour while he's watching on
Blippi.
YouTube. Yeah, Blippi. Normally it's some video game, like Mario and stuff. But that hour of just personal time that I'm going to spend with my son that's priceless. And back when I lived in Washington and commuting to work, it was like 7 o'clock, get up, okay, take a shower, get ready, be out of the house by 8 o'clock. So that way I could get to work by like 9:30 or whatever. So there's this, I did not enjoy that, you know, I do not like to waste my time, you know. The time is very valuable to me because it's something that I'm never going to get back, you know.
Right.
I can get paid for my time, sure, but my time with my family is more important than any dollar amount. And so I'm really cherishing this work from home that I've been able to do since March, and I'm hoping that it continues. It's sad because every time I see like on the news, they're like, "Oh, vaccine," I'm like, "No, slow down. I want to stay at home. I want to work from home some more."
But I
But like you
think
mentioned, yeah, go ahead, Matt.
no, I think even with the vaccine though, because I'll be honest, I just took I took a small part-time job, and they asked me like, okay, well, would you ever consider coming into the office? And I actually said like, no, I'm good home.
Yeah.
I will gladly work from home, and they were okay with it. And I'm getting, I'm getting paid the same amount. It's just I get to work from home, and I think even with the vaccine or not, I think there's still going to be that little question, even for a little while longer.
There's going to be a shift,
Yeah.
because if you raise the well-being of the employees will be more productive, they'll be happier.
Well, yeah, of course.
They'll stay with the company longer. So
Yeah,
it's a
and you get-
win-win-win for them.
You also get more talent as well, especially in like the
Yep.
video game industry. Being in the Midwest, we have snow and we're kind of in the middle of nowhere. There's not a lot of people from California or Texas that work in video games that are like, yeah, let's move to -40 and 54 inches of snow. If you allow permanent work from
We're
home,
pointing you out, Nate.
No.
if you allow permanent work from home, you can get those individuals and they can just stay in California and work. And so you're able to get this talent that you otherwise wouldn't be able to, which I think is a huge benefit as well.
Yeah, or vice versa. Like, and my brother is also in game development, and he's actively working for a company that's in Texas. He's like, I live in California, and I can actually work for them. And if I decide to move, I can still work for the company I'm working for in California. He's dreading having to go back into the office because it limits his options.
Yep.
Whereas
yep.
the work from home model, he can do side projects for 2-3 different companies. Doesn't matter where they are.
Yep.
So.
Yeah.
Now, as much as like COVID uh, changed the way we go to business, essentially, and our daily interactions and stuff, I do you think after what 10 months of this lifestyle that people have just adjusted to it and just kind of not accepted it, but kind of just fell into that routine again? Like of working from home than going into an office?
In a way, but some people have been working from home. For example, I have a client that I've been working with for 4 years now, give or take. Oh, God, it's been that long. That her anxiety being at the office was through the roof. Just being around coworkers, bosses, it was just creating a lot of anxiety for her, and it was affecting her productivity. She was dreading going into work. She was feeling depressed. So we moved to accommodate to have her work from home. And over these past 4 years, her working from home, even prior to COVID, her anxiety went down, depression went away. She was more productive, even more productive than when she was at the office. So for some people, working from home is increasingly beneficial.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's been extremely beneficial for me. Um, you know, I get to spend more time with my family. I I tend to be a workaholic, so that's kind of a
Busybody.
yeah, kind of a downside as well, because there will be times where I'm like working, I look at the clock, I'm like, okay, it's 5:30. I got a little bit more time. I'll work, and I'll look, and I'll be like, oh, now it's 6:30. I'm like, 5 more minutes. I'll work. It's like, okay, now it's 7:20. So there is some things where it's like I can let work consume me more than what I probably should at times versus like going into the office. Um,
I think
So that's where you need to kind of delineate when it's work time and when it's family time.
yep.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
I've got
I fall into
got a
that
loving
routine
wife
too.
that makes sure I know when it's time to get off work. She'll come in and be like, you know what time it is? I'm like, yeah, okay, sorry.
I was on my
Yeah.
way out. I knew
Yeah,
you were
yeah,
coming. That hall sensor beeped.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's something that I've worked with some clients when the pandemic hit and everyone's starting to work from home, is really delineating that time of when it's work, when it's break, when it's um, time for family. And a lot of people set up their work in the dining room
Yeah,
or in their living room,
it's a good spot for it.
but it makes it that you're always working, even though you're trying to relax in the evening. The computer and everything is right there.
Right.
Well, it's just an email. And without going too much into it, switching a task as soon as you start a new task requires two things that happen. So you're one, doing a cognitive shift, and two, you're adapting to the new rules of that new task. That takes time. So if it's a 5-minute email, the whole switch to and from takes about 25 minutes ish. So
Right.
that 5-minute email just knocked you from about 25 minutes of actually concentrating on the TV show that you're watching.
Right. You know, before we dive too deep into this rabbit hole, I want us to move on for a second because I'm really excited just to bring this up before we roll into our mental health topic and get rolling into things. But I have to know more about this latest project, a little hobby you've been picking up, Roderick, that I've been seeing on Twitter and your socials that has me super jealous
Which
beyond your dice making.
Because I got multiple hobbies. I just don't
Well,
show them all.
the newest one that I've seen with you making your own homemade dice. Now, you brought this to a whole new level. You shared like the process of it. Those things came out gorgeous.
Yeah, they didn't. They didn't come out too bad.
For a first time making this, kid, I have to ask you. I'm gonna use the podcast to ask you. What was the process that you went through to make these? Like, was it super hard?
No,
I thought it was about to be. Can you make us dice, please?
That's next.
I already told Joe. I said, hey, if you guys
Yep.
got some dice with the logo on it, send me a pair. I'll take it. I'll mold them.
Well,
because
dude,
I've
I've been
got-
waiting for you to get settled in. I know you got settled in about a month ago.
Yep. 20th of
So,
November.
I was gonna send you something several times, and you're like, "Whoa, wait! I
Yeah.
haven't moved yet.
Yep.
You know, wait until we get settled in." And
Yep.
now it's like, okay, now I can send them. But there is a dice in there with the logo on it for you.
Nice. See, I can cast that. I've got some leftover silicone. Yeah, the whole process is pretty easy. Use Dragon Skin 30. It's a silicone. It's a part A, part B product. You take the dice and basically stick them in a little Dixie cup. Slowly mix the silicone for the 5 minutes that it requires. Put it into a new cup, mix it for another 5 minutes, and slowly pour it into the Dixie cup. And then you throw it in the pressure pot. The pressure pot takes all the bubbles that you'd have in the silicone and it compresses them down so they're super micro. And you let it sit in there for 16 hours. It comes out and it's fully cured. And then you basically just cut down the sides to pop it open and get the dice out. And then you just mix up your silicone and you tape the mold and you pour this, you mix up your resin, you tape the mold and you pour the resin in. You add your different colors, your gold flakes and
Yeah, you use gold
mica
flakes on
powder and things
yours.
like that. Yep. And then you put it in a pressure pot for 12 hours. Super simple.
You make this sound so easy, but
It is.
Right?
It really is.
Right?
I would destroy a kitchen as I tried doing this.
See, you just got to have
takes
have the
patience.
cardboard down. I think the main thing is I did a lot of research on what products I needed to purchase to do it effectively. And that was the big one. Trying to figure out the silicone and the work time. If you get a silicone that cures too fast, well, you're not going to be able to pour it into the mold in time before it starts to get hard. Same with resin. If you get resin that cures way too fast and you're trying to pour 7 molds, well, by the time you get to like number 4, it's going to be starting to clump up. So just figuring out, what the best products are for that was most of the hard work. Once I figured that out, it was watch a YouTube video and you can do it.
Did you go
It's something
through...
that I've wanted to do for a really long time.
Mm.
And in Washington, I really didn't have the room for that. And in my new house here, I got 500 square feet more, plus a complete basement that I can use as a workshop, essentially.
I'm digging the art on your walls in your office, though. Those are pretty sweet.
My finger. I can't point.
You got an
over there.
IRES
Yeah, right
custom
there.
print right there.
That's an
Oh,
IRES,
man.
Yeah. So I met with him. I think it was the last week I was in Washington. I messaged him on Twitter, and I finally got to meet face to face with him and pick up the art. The wife and I drove down to Portland and met with him and BS'd for a little bit and got that art. And he also gave me a tube with a bunch of other of his artwork. I haven't opened it up yet because of the whole moving thing. I took it and I boxed it away nicely. I still have some of Brian's work that I need to frame up and put on this wall as well. I'm slowly settling in, slowly like putting up
Yeah.
the artwork.
Take your time, man.
Yeah.
Get the spacing
Eventually
right.
you're off.
Get the right frame.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
if you rush into it, you'll have something like that resembles my wall. So
Tetris.
yeah. Just so you know, like this comes down like every 2 or 3 months, and I reorganize it. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's a nightmare. Yeah, especially getting all the frames like so close together.
Yep.
Yeah, don't be like me. Don't be like Joe.
Don't be like Joe.
Yeah, I like yours. It's freaking awesome.
Simplistic, nice, no need for Tetris.
Yeah.
That stuff, right?
But it adds.
That's kind of how I am. I'm a fairly simple type person. Like when we were in Bellevue, the wife, she had the living room full of pictures, family pictures and stuff. There was like 20 some pictures, similar to like Joe's wall. And it just drove me nuts. I'm kind of OCD, so I'd look at it, I'd be like, no, like these corners and heights and stuff don't line up. Like, oh, I just hated sitting in the living room and watching TV because I had to look at this wall. It was just like, ah.
It's like eating
That-
at
So for
TGI
me, it's like
Fridays.
if you look at like the three behind me, they're all the same length of frame, and they're all I had level, leveling them, making sure everything's nice and level. And then I have a small one here and a small one on the other side, and those are perfectly, I think it's like 4 inches from the top of the one next to it and 4 inches from the bottom of the one, and then
Perfectly
the
spaced out.
Resolute chromatic fire should be center with the ones behind me, although
Oh
it
my god.
doesn't quite look like it because my fisheye lens. But yeah, I have everything like I don't know. I'm OCD like that. If I have
I'm not.
a
I'm not
candlestick on the
allowed
left
to
side of
hang
my
pictures in
desk,
my house.
I need one on the right side too.
All right, note to self: you're never gonna come visit me. My house will drive you insane. So I'll just come to your place.
Yeah,
He's like Thanos right now, perfectly balanced. That's
Yeah,
all
yeah.
things should be.
that's how it has to be. Like at work too, at Bungie, I would come in and my desk was like immaculate. I did not hardly have anything on it. And then I'd see other people's desks and they would like have these big old can stacks of like, Mountain Dew or, Coca-Cola, and they'd stack them super high. And I'm just like, no, that drives me nuts. So like cover my eyes as I walk by their desk.
Oh,
Can't look.
man.
I can't look.
Yeah.
Must fix.
I think some of that is from growing up. Like I grew up on a farm, so it was very much disorganized and clutter and things like that. All the things that you get with growing up on a farm.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as I got out of the house, it's like, okay, I don't have to deal with any of that crap. And I kind of went like the complete opposite direction to counter, the
You go to the complete polar opposite.
yeah.
Yeah. Well,
It
it's
drives my
control.
wife nuts sometimes. And I'm just like, I'm sorry, I can't help it.
It's control. You came from not chaotic in the
I'd say
sense
chaos.
of
I'd say chaos.
okay, chaos. You came from chaos, and you were like, no, now I'm in control, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna make it how I want to make it, and out pops OCD.
Yep, exactly.
Apparently, Chris in our chat right now says that you make a killer shed paver foundation too.
I do. That's Chris Byrne. He's a animator that I worked with at Bungie on Bosses. Yeah, he
What's up,
was
Chris?
doing
Hey,
a
Chris.
shed one day. I forget why we went with pavers, but he needed to lay a solid foundation. I was like, that's easy. We got this. And so yeah, I ended up spending the day with him, and he did some wicked barbecue and
Nice.
and did the pavers and stuff. And yeah, I
Good
think I got a
luck.
pretty good deal out of it. Eating barbecue and stuff.
Oh
And he's
yeah,
from North
dude.
Carolina,
Freaking
so he knows
barbecue.
how to barbecue.
Perfect. Now, a lot of people don't know about you too. You're not only a developer. Before that, you used to do tile work too.
I did. Yep.
And
I did that for 10 years. I was homeschooled, so there was a lot of things like that I got to do because I'd blow through all my schoolwork really quick because I hated school. So it's like, bam, head down, finish it right away in the morning so I could move to other stuff. And my brother, who's 10 years older than me, he started his own tile business. But at the age of 12, I was essentially working with him on the weekends, helping him do different tile jobs. And as I got older, I worked with him more and more. And so, yeah, I did professional tile work for, I'd say, 10 years.
oof.
I did it long enough to know I did not want to retire doing that.
A man of many talents.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
real.
Yeah, jack of many trades, and
Yep.
learned very quickly. I gotta get into something else. Dude, your knees would have been shot by now.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
I
But-
do have one bad knee from it that I had the
Oh, I bet.
chiropractor adjust every couple weeks or whenever it doesn't feel good. But that's about it so far. We'll see in 15 years. Sitting in a chair as well is probably not the best thing for my body either.
No.
So
No.
I actually PUBG just bought me a new desk, and it's one of these nice, like you push a button and like
It raises.
raise
No.
it. Yeah.
Great.
So it's like I've got like 4 different settings on it. It's like, okay, now I can stand up and do some work
That's
and,
nice.
Oh, that is cool.
stretch my back.
How would you hear that?
I'm jealous of your elevating and desk. God. What
I mean,
is
I'm
this
just jealous in
technology?
period, to be honest with you.
Right? I mean,
jealous.
it's just
They're
broad.
not that hard to get. They're only about $2,200.
Oh, that's it?
There
Yeah.
actually this one was only
YouTube.
$350, I think.
Ooh,
Oh.
nice.
So it was actually
So Joe,
it's
we're
an
all getting some for Christmas.
autonomous desk.
Be late in shipping. Are we really
That's
getting
not
desks?
bad.
No, we're not getting desks. We don't.
We
want
getting desks?
No, we're not getting desks.
I
We
heard
don't-
it. I heard we're getting desks.
That's what I
Yes.
heard.
Right? Thank you, Roger.
If we get desks, the next episode we record, I expect everybody to be standing.
I mean, I'm all right with it, to be honest.
Right?
But speaking of Christmas,
Yes.
for people that
Oh.
are watching us live, we're 1 week away from the holidays. If you're
Dun,
listening
dun,
to us when
dun.
Joe finishes editing of the podcast, it's probably Christmas in a day or two.
Yes. Yeah. Happy holidays, everybody.
Yeah. With the holidays, certainly now with the pandemic going along, it's going to be a very different holiday for a lot of people.
Indeed.
But in general, a lot of people get very fatigued during the holidays because it's that one time of year where hopefully most people get a little bit of time off, but they go spend some time with friends and family. They try to spend as much time as they can, which can kind of lead them to get rather burnt out. Because the things that most people did during the holidays is eat way too much, eat food that is very high in sugar and trans fats and a whole bunch of other things that are not necessarily great for our bodies, and drink copious amounts of alcohol and not really sleep.
Mhm.
A lot of truth in that.
Yeah.
A lot of people can really hit that wall during the holidays. But also for a lot of people, spending time with family is not the best time of their lives because they are either in family turmoil, differencing in opinions, and the holidays can become rather stressful for a lot of people for those specific reasons. Matt, you had written an article a while back specifically on the topic.
Yeah. Called it was called the Black Sheep Effect.
Mhm.
I wrote this back in 2017, and really what it talks about is exactly that. Think about it this way. We just went through Thanksgiving.
Mhm.
So everything that you just said before, copious amounts of alcohol, eating, drinking, sugar, pumpkin pie, whole nine yards. We just did that. And especially this year, it was right after an election. And you add that on top of maybe you're not so close with your family, you're not so close with, the people that you're spending Thanksgiving with. You probably just recovered from all of that maybe a week ago, pending on what happened or pending on the circumstances. Now you got 2 more holidays back to back. And pending which holiday you celebrate, sometimes it's a week long, sometimes it's 2 days, sometimes it's 3 days, whatever it might be. But no matter what, you're getting it back to back in some way, shape, or form. And it's very difficult to, at times, process that and manage how we're going to, in a weird sense, survive the next couple of weeks. The one thing that I've personally told clients, especially throughout this year, throughout this time, I should say, if you feel it's appropriate, say no. Don't go. And now, again, I'm talking if your relationship with family or certain family members is not good. It is okay to say no and to not go, right?
Mhm.
I mean, I'll speak on like Thanksgiving or holidays and things like that. What I hated was having to run back and forth between multiple families. I never
Yep.
actually enjoyed the holiday. And not because I don't like my family, it was just more so, all right, shovel the turkey because we got to go to so and so's aunt's house and I got to make sure I grab the pastries and run over there. It's like 8 o'clock. By the time I'm done there, it's midnight and I got to be back at work the next day. Now times that by 2 if you don't like your family or if there are issues going on there. Everything just compounds. And the feelings that we get, they're exacerbated. They become even worse.
Saying no and pacing yourself,
Mhm.
pacing in terms of how many events you are saying that you will attend doesn't mean that you do not like your family. It
Yeah.
just means that you are taking this time to take care of you so that you can actually spend time with your family.
Yeah. And you're allowed to enjoy the holidays. And sometimes people make new traditions. Sometimes people make new plans. And that should be okay. You know, the whole Friends Thanksgiving, the Friendsgiving, I know that gets a lot of slack from I know that gets a lot of slack, but in reality it's true. It is a good thing to do. You
Yeah, you,
know,
you can spend time with your friends on.
yeah, you're allowed.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You're allowed. And I think traditions like that should be explored and should be utilized and spending time with other people that are important to you in your life that you care about, keeping positive people around you, especially during this time, is kind of key. And that's really what should be focused on. If that's your family, fantastic, and go for it. Have a good time, enjoy. Stay away from the uncle. I'm joking, but bad joke, bad joke. Joe's gonna kill me. Um, but no, enjoy the time with people that you want to enjoy the time with, because the holidays are for you as well. I think a lot of times we get trapped in this. I'm 30 and I still kind of get trapped in that mindset, like I gotta be there for my family, and it's like,
Right.
wait a
You
minute,
feel obligated.
yeah, very much so, and I'm like, I'm 30.
Mhm.
Not that I'm pushing my family away, but I'm like, if I want to go to my brother-in-law's and actually be able to watch the football game on Thanksgiving, like I'm gonna go to my brother-in-law's for 1 year. You know,
I feel
And
very fortunate that I happen to marry a Jewish girl, and my family is not. So we don't have any holiday conflicts when it comes to that.
oh, that's great.
Yeah.
one thing that this year is going to be different is with the pandemic. So we spent the first Thanksgiving within the pandemic, and the Christmas is going to be very different as well. So we need to acknowledge, and there was a really good article on Psychology Today that I'm referring to as well, that we need to acknowledge the fact that we may not do the same types of gatherings, have the same types of interactions as we are used to. A lot of people get bogged down in these are our Christmas traditions.
Mhm.
We all meet up at grandma's house with 50 people. We may not be able to do that this year.
No.
Yeah.
Well, De Blasio
And
said no in New York. He said 10 or less.
yeah,
So legally, it wasn't allowed.
Pixel and chat kind of brings up a point with the family guilt, and we've all heard this. I'm sure everyone has heard this at some point. Is, well, this might be grandma's last Christmas. Do you really want to miss it?
You see, and I think it can get even a bit more manipulative than that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, but we're your family. You should be spending time with us.
Mm-hmm.
It could just
Don't
be as
have
simple
to.
as that. Right.
You know,
Right. It could really just be as simple as, well, we're your family. You need to be with us. And it's like, but do I want to be with you? is
Well,
is the
and that's
question.
the key thing. And it's something that I say to a lot of my clients is, yeah, they may be your family, but they don't get to dictate what you
Mhm.
have to do. You get to choose if you want to spend time with your family or not.
Yeah.
You don't have to. There's no written rule that you're obliged to spend time with your family. It is going to be different. For my family, we used to go to my in-laws, which are 5 hours up north, in between either Christmas or New Year's. We kind of alternate years. This year, we can't. It's where they live is kind of more locked down than we are here.
Yeah.
So we're going to adapt.
Right.
But the less running around, I feel, and it's going to have to be seen, that a lot of people may spend quieter, more relaxing, and dare I say, better holidays.
Right.
Mhm.
And there's no guilt in that. There should be no guilt in that.
Yeah,
Right.
the fact
Because
that you're not running around.
yeah, whether it's because of COVID and there needs to be a separation, whether it's because of distance, whether it's because of restrictions, or in reality, whether it's because you're making a decision to not go to a certain place for the holidays, it's at the end of the day, it should be about what you need at that moment.
Mhm.
And there's always this thing too, right? There is a difference between you can do this respectfully is what I'm saying, because I think the other thing that gets stuck in everybody's mind is, well, I'm being disrespectful, or I'm being a bad son, I'm being a bad daughter, I'm being a bad child. No, you can say it respectfully. You're not going to say, I'm not coming to your house because I hate you. No, it's more so, I'm choosing to go to my brother-in-law's just for this Thanksgiving.
Yep.
Next Thanksgiving I'll be with you guys. I don't get to see them as much. You make it respectful. After that, however your family takes it is how your family takes it. You're doing the right thing. You're telling them, you're explaining to them the situation and kind of what you're feeling. My hope is that your family would
Mhm.
respect and kind of honor that and be like, okay, cool.
You're
Could you
setting
just,
your own boundaries.
right, right. Can you just bring over some cannolis before you go? And like, that's my New York in me. So yes, of course I'll bring you over some cannolis.
It's
You know,
Portos out here. Yeah.
But for people that may not get to be with family, the fact that we have this technology and the fact that this pandemic came at a day and age where we have Zoom or FaceTime and Skype, where we can have these gatherings, makes it that much easier. Um, Joe was on Garden Downcast the other week, and they had talked about something that I think really holds true. The fact that you can just mail, well, not right now, hopefully you've done it sooner, mail your gifts to your family and say, at a certain time, we all get on a
Yep.
Zoom call and we open our Christmas presents online.
Yeah, I mean it's just problem solving. Finding something that making it more manageable. Especially through this Christmas, especially with everything that's been going on this year. Utilizing what we have. We have Zoom. We have Google Hangout. I mean, it's easy enough to tell, have a family member show another one how to use it, and we can still be able to spend time together like we are right now,
Mhm.
remotely.
I've done multiple birthdays this year. I've done 2 weddings this year, and now multiple holidays over video chat. And it's not the same, but in some ways it's better because my family's dispersed across the country. And this year was one of the first time we've had all of the family in the room.
Yeah, I mean it's
So
what is that? That's like a part of CBT, isn't it? Like a form of it from like managing.
Yeah, well, you're managing your thoughts and your emotions, but the
Yeah.
fact that we can get these gatherings without the stress.
mhm.
You give a date and time, no need to rush, no need to worry about traffic or weather. Just show up.
Mhm.
And we'll
And if you don't feel great or you feel that you want to have some alone time, you just say, "Hey, I'm going to go rest and watch a Christmas vacation on Netflix."
yes,
Or
classic.
or 24/7 of A Christmas Story on TBS every Christmas Eve.
Yep.
Or
Very
Die
true.
Hard.
Or
Which
Die
one?
Hard.
Or Die
Die
Hard.
Hard.
Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
It is.
I don't care what anybody says. Chat, you can fight with me.
Fight me
I
about
will-
it. Yeah.
Absolutely, I'll fight back. I'm on Roderick's side. It's a
Or
Christmas
Batman
movie.
Returns.
Batman Returns is a Christmas movie as well too. It takes place during Christmas. It's facts. It's just
See.
facts.
Gremlins.
Oh, Gremlins.
Facts.
Yes.
With-
It's just straight facts.
See, you guys go that way every Christmas, and throughout the year, I watch the Santa Claus series with Tim Allen.
The Tim Allen series.
Yeah,
Low-hanging
that was
fruit.
that was
and
peak
Jingle All
Tim
the
Allen.
Way.
Oh,
He's got two. It's a classic, but no,
It
yeah,
is.
I get that, and you know what made me think about the birthdays that Nate mentioned. One thing that totally like overstayed its welcome was the parade drive-bys at people's houses.
I
Never
was
did
one of
one.
those. I was one of those.
I did it too, and then shortly after, people started getting in trouble for it.
Oh, so quick funny story. I think I said it once on here, but I'll say it again because it's hysterical. My sister turned 21 in April, in the middle of the pandemic.
Oh no!
Poor girl.
My sister has Down syndrome too, so it was a little bit harder for her to kind of comprehend, like, WTF, why aren't we celebrating my birthday? I got 10 cars to line up in front of the house. I didn't think to tell people on the block what was happening. And it is just a parade of horns, and we're not stopping. Like, I'm out there screaming like an idiot, and all of a sudden I see on the corner somebody's coming out with their phone. I'm like, oh, and I bolt over. I'm like, no, it's for her birthday. Please don't call the cops. Please don't call the cops. I'm like begging, and yeah, no, we almost got shut down. It was interesting.
Shut down and turned into a TikTok by an angry Karen.
Yeah, that's what I thought was happening.
You were almost there. Yeah.
I was almost, and I would have been one of the guys to stand up to the Karen too. It would have been bad. Thank God it didn't go that route.
No, you would have compromised. No. No.
Well, no.
But with this holiday, I just want everyone to, one, be kind to themselves, know your boundaries, don't be afraid to assert your boundaries, take time for yourself, rest, relax, and try to enjoy it as much as you can.
Well put. Love
Very
it.
much.
Now is it time for the elephant in the room?
Oh God,
Roderick's here.
I was quick.
No.
Well, no, I think we're gonna need Roderick's input on a lot of this.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Let's dive into it. All right. One thing
I
that's
might
been
know a
circling.
thing or two.
About
You
a
might.
thing or two.
You
Yeah,
might.
maybe.
Now,
We'll see.
a big thing that came out recently, roughly 8 days ago, was the amazingly overhyped Cyberpunk 2077. So we're going to
No
dive
Man's-
right into this.
No Man's Sky 2.0.
Yes.
Oh,
with-
no.
Cyberpunk
Far worse. Yeah.
I don't
Cyberpunk
know
was
about that.
announced. The first trailer for Cyberpunk was announced when the 360 and the PS3 were our main consoles, and the PS4 and Xbox One bases weren't even launched yet.
That can't be right.
No,
It was
it is.
it was first announced in 2012, and it's been delayed, and I'm okay with.
May 30th, 2012.
Yeah.
It's been some time. I'm
Been a
okay with
while.
as long as they make a good functioning game.
Right.
But then it launched,
Yeah.
and if you're
Oh, it
running
launched, yeah.
if you're running anything other than a PC with like a 3080 or a 3090, you're having problems.
Or a new
even
console,
if
isn't
you're
it?
running that, you're still having problems.
Now, what kind of
Yes.
problems are people running into with this?
A whole bunch of bugs, which is to be expected with a
Right.
massive open world game. People were expecting some bugs, but I don't think to the level of this. And I'm talking about the PC here. You're expecting a little bit of performance issues, but not to the extent where powerful hardware can barely run the game without running super sampling.
Right.
So they had tested it. I don't know who it was. I think it was Linus from Linus Tech Tips. They tried running it at 4K with ray tracing without DLSS, and it was running at like 7 frames a second
And
on a
these
3080 or a 3090.
And I think what makes this even more frustrating is that's what was advertised. This game will run perfectly with those specs, with those, with all the bells and whistles. This game is going to look fantastic.
One of the best corollaries I've heard is this game is the new Crysis.
Oh yeah.
Right.
You-
And if
you
anyone
can-
remembers when Crysis came out, that was one of those that Crysis said, we don't
Nope.
care what you're currently running. This is what it's going to take to run. And if you don't do it,
You're gonna have a bad
expect
time.
issues. Right. 2077 is that same mentality. The problem was they didn't include the caveat of if you don't have these minimum specs, expect it to be unplayable.
But even they express the minimum specs, and even then, you're running with performance issues.
Sure.
The big thing that happened is on the consoles,
Mhm.
because people
Well,
were expecting that it wasn't going to look like a PC,
Right.
but they weren't expecting what was going to happen. The PS4 version was borderline unplayable.
I wouldn't even say borderline. I would say it was just unplayable.
No, it was so unplayable they pulled it from the PlayStation Store, right?
Sony
Right.
pulled it from the PlayStation Store and started giving out refunds, which is unheard of.
Especially for Sony.
Sony has a policy that if you pre-order a game,
Buyer
it
beware.
is yours. You
Yep.
cannot get a refund from it.
Right.
Even if the game hasn't launched, if you pre-order it, it's yours.
So I'm very interested on Roderick's take on this, given that you've worked for studios, things like that. What's your take on this?
I've had no issues with it. Seriously,
So
all
right,
I
end the
play it right
podcast.
there, right behind me. I have a Xbox Series X that I
Okay.
got when it launched. And
Wow.
I've had
Just
zero
dunk on
issues
us, why don't you?
with it. So I'm on Twitter. I see all these people. They're like, "Oh my gosh, this game! It's so buggy. It's so glitchy." Like,
And I
zero.
think it's a case by case
Yeah.
thing as well.
But
And
I
I'm not
think
entirely sure what would cause it to work on my machine versus like a high-end PC or whatnot.
Well,
Well,
and again,
I've had
model
the
tours-
only issue I had was I walked into the bar at the beginning of the game,
Mhm.
and here's a character standing, T-pose,
T-pose.
and that was it.
that's
After
great.
that, I didn't see anything. It's like, oh, that's weird. It's in its bind pose, so something with the animation must have messed up. Other than that, I haven't seen any other issues.
Now, you
I mean,
think
that
it's
also.
one of
Yeah,
those
go
things
ahead.
where they're trying to, like, it's not really modeled towards the specs of like the PS4 and the Xbox Ones, where it's not forcing you but suggesting that this is more based on the processing ability of the next gen consoles than it is the previous one.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and I think where they messed up was they sold it to previous gen.
It shouldn't have been on PS4 and on Xbox One, because you look at the base, not the pros, so not the Xbox One X or
No,
the
I watched someone
Pro.
stream it on an OG Xbox One,
And
and
it is woof, it is
Yeah.
rough.
Yeah, it should have never launched on PS4 and the Xbox One.
no,
When you have a studio, when you have this weird console generation switch where you go from old generation to new generation, a game that's going to be on both, it tend to requires a additional studio to take that game and kind of co-develop it with you, but for the previous generation. So when I was at
And-
Sledgehammer Games working on Advanced Warfare, we very much were in this weird, like, hey, we got to launch on the Xbox One, PlayStation 4, but we're also launching on the 360 and PS3. And so we had another studio that was co-developing with us. And so our build of the game was about a month advanced versus their build. So we would do the assets and stuff, and they would get all the assets a month later, and then have to implement them and optimize them and make sure they worked for the PS3 and Xbox 360.
right? Didn't you have that same luxury at Bungie with the multiple studios on that one as well with the PC port?
For Destiny 2, we had VV, Vicarious Vision, out in Albany, New York. They
Right.
did a spectacular job making sure that this core game functioned perfectly on the PC. And they went above and beyond to make sure that nobody could, come out essentially and complain that it was just a port. Because we added everything that PC players wanted and made sure that it worked. And yeah, we sent that off to another studio to do because trying to develop for both platforms would have been a nightmare. It's easier now since we got the PC platform, or since Bungie has a PC platform completed and all that. Now it's easier, but the initial start of creating for two different platforms is extremely hard. And they should have probably had another studio if they wanted to sell
So,
it for PS4.
Where do you
They
like?
should have had
What
another
would you
studio.
where would you say CD Projekt Red went wrong on this one?
I would say announcing the game in the first place. They ran into the same issues that Final Fantasy VII had on the remake,
That was
where
that was
they
in
were
development hell.
yeah they were too excited to announce it,
Mm.
so they announced it early, and you get everybody like myself included when they announced Final Fantasy VII. I was like, yes, and then like next pack or in the next E3 came, I was like, where is it? Like, why is there no new information?
Yeah.
And over time, then individuals start getting pissed off, and they're like, "Hey, you announced this, and it feels like it's been 5 years now. Like, where is this game?" And then these studios get pushed to release a product that's maybe not at the quality bar that should be. So when they announced it, I would say they were probably just barely in any type of prototyping stage. Everything was still gray models and very dirty and.
Because
They should have waited at least another 3 years, maybe 4, to announce.
Because what's going on right now, I'm not blaming the devs at CD Projekt Red, because I'm sure they put their heart and soul into this game. I'm looking more, this is like a management issue where they pushed a game that wasn't ready, and certainly with the early review processes, I don't know if anyone's kind of followed kind of that debacle as well, where they could only review the PC version but use canned footage.
This was
For
a
the
stockholder
review.
move. This was totally a stockholder move.
And the stocks tanked.
Yep. And
They-
rightfully so, but yet they wanted to push numbers before the investor call, and have this, like, this is what we have. We have what was it? Uh, how many million pre-orders?
a lot. I don't know what the
Right,
pre-order
8.6, I think it was 8.6 million pre-orders at
It was-
$60 a pop. Right?
It was some astronomical number, and I think it broke records, if I
Yeah.
remember.
because with this whole debacle, the founders from CD Projekt Red, with the stock drop, lost about $1 billion.
Good.
Yeah, but I don't
mean,
know.
That's
You
no.
know,
I mean, that's what should happen if you make a mistake like this.
do you think
That-
Fallout 76 was a mistake? That comes down
Yeah.
to personal opinion then. Because there are plenty of people, if you go to conventions and you see the fans of the Fallout series, they absolutely love it. They don't
Well,
care how
they fixed
broken
it
it may
over time.
be.
Yeah.
You're right.
Well, and
So,
No Man's Sky is another one of those
Cyberpunk,
example.
Right?
Right.
They fixed it over time. And you know what? Bungie has a track record like that too.
Mhm.
You have to release it, let the consumers play it, and get their response, and then fix it a season later and have these updates and everything like that, and then it becomes that great game. You know, there's only so much you can get from testers and dev teams and community people that you dish it out to for critiques and stuff like that. When you get it to the actual player base, that's when you start getting the real
Sure.
meat and potato, response and feedback. And if they're a good studio, like Bungie
you
sets the bar high when it comes to taking community feedback, and CD Projekt Red
Projekt
has fixed some of their previous games to a
'Cause
great level. So if they might
their
have lost
past
$1 billion,
game-
they might make $1.5 billion a year from now with it.
Because their past game was held to such high esteem. So
Mhm.
Witcher 2 and 3 are held to be some of the greatest games almost ever made.
Witcher
Wow.
3
Yeah,
is by far probably the
you know
best
what?
game I've ever played.
And Destiny kind of lived on that Halo pedigree as well.
Mhm.
So it was
And-
held to such a high standard.
And yeah, Witcher had its issues, but nowhere near what people have been talking about with Cyberpunk, where the game is hard crashing on consoles and people can't play it.
What was the last game that had a response like that at the beginning of this year? Was it this year or was it last year? Anthem?
Anthem was pretty bad.
Anthem was last year, I believe.
That was crashing on console and
Mm-hmm.
all this, and they had a great idea, gorgeous skybox, and it just had too many things to
They,
the
they
point
ever
where they
released
actually
that?
not yet. I think it's coming out late next year. They're re-releasing it, and
Mhm.
they're just giving like blog updates of what they've been fixing and everything, which is just soul crushing for
Because
for
Cyberpunk
that
would have
team.
needed like another year.
I would argue two.
Right.
2
Yeah.
years.
I would argue two. Yeah. Based
And,
on
and
based
we're,
on the
we're
articles
honestly
I've read
we're looking
and
at the
stuff,
same
it's
thing with
two.
Halo Infinite coming out. Like, are they going to push that one for the sake of stockholders?
But when you
I
say
think
2
that-
years, based on what are you basing that on? I'm just curious.
I'm basing it on what I've seen on Twitter.
Yeah.
With the memory and stuff. I
social
think there's a lot of
medias.
optimization that needs to take place, and that optimization would probably take, I would say, a year to do.
Because the game is a beautiful game.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Wait, which
The,
one?
the environment,
Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk, because I tried it just for the hell of it, because my PC's not the greatest, but it's not a slouch either, and tried it on with just the minimum of ray tracing, and it looks so pretty, but the frame rate is left to be desired if you're not playing with DLSS.
Yeah.
It's got high hopes, but it's got a lot of potential. I think
Yeah.
they're gonna get their criticism. They're gonna take their lashes. But in a year, if we revisit this with an expansion or whatever they do, you're gonna see a lot of the issues resolved.
Yeah,
It's
I
taken
mean,
a lot of licks because of how hyped it was.
Mhm.
And I think
True.
like
Like what
Roger
you
was
mentioned,
saying
it-
before, They announced it with, and they announced it too, like with all this flair. They had Keanu Reeves come out. It spawned memes. It spawned everything. It spawned interest into the product, and you had people who probably never even heard of Cyberpunk being a tabletop RPG came out and was like, "Yeah, no, I want this game." So you got hardcore gamers, you got filthy casuals like myself, and you just got people who just got an Xbox.
Filthy. You're filthy, man.
I'm a filthy casual. Or you just got people who got the Xbox Series X or PS5 and was like, no, I want Cyberpunk because that's what's popular right now.
Is this on Game Pass too? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you.
No,
No.
it's not.
Sorry.
Sadly, it's not. Yeah.
Because for the PS5 version, I don't know how it is on the Xbox side. The base game on PlayStation is the PS4 version, just upscaled with the PS5
Yeah,
hardware.
Pixie, I
So
think
it's
the
not
majority of us are filthy
its
casuals.
own version. It's
Right.
just
Yeah,
one
Series X is
single-
the same. Yeah, Series X is a Xbox Series X port. So
So whatever happens with the base one,
that's like Xbox One
transfers
X. Yeah.
to the current gen.
I hope it gets what it deserves. I hope it gets fixed. I hope it gets and it lives up to the hype that it did or that it created for itself.
I mean-
don't. Yeah.
When did No Man's Sky release?
The exact
A
date I
while
don't know.
ago?
But
Right.
The reason
they're finally at that point where they're
I mean,
making good on those promises that
and they were was it nominated or did they win at the Game Awards?
2016, August 2016.
Yeah. And they just won at the VGAs for, I want to say, best ongoing series.
So think about it. It came out and
Yeah.
it was destroyed. Man, my
Mhm.
screen is bright. It came out, it was destroyed because everything that they promised never came
Rightfully
through.
so. Yeah.
Never came through. And I was one of the people who bought it on launch because I think this game's going to be great. And I bought it. And I was like, this game sucks. It's not good.
Mhm.
And it's stuck on my PS4 because I bought it digital. But now it's a fantastic game. But it took them a while to get there. So there is expectation now that Cyberpunk is going to get to that level. It's just very tricky because try telling the public that.
Right.
You know,
You've
Twitter
kinda
and the world is
burned-
unforgiving.
You've burned the good graces.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but the expectations of the player is so high now.
Mm-hmm.
It
that
is.
They expect. I mean, I know people have, like we discussed this at the beginning, what goes in and behind the curtain with the wizards of making a game. The expectations are so high to the player nowadays. Like, we are far away from the side scroller games
But don't
we
charge
used
me
to
more
play.
than $60. How
What
dare
about
you?
67? We'll get that state tax in
Right.
there.
But, okay, so I do agree. Our expectations for games now are much higher. But it doesn't help that the hype that they created.
Right.
I mean, you
That's
almost
my-
have to put that much hype into a game to have it be successful. How many great games have fell to the wayside that just didn't have the money for advertisement, but sooner or later begin to get a cult following? Well, how long was
Among Us.
Among Us out?
Right.
2 years.
Among Us. 2 years.
2 years.
2 years,
Now it's like
2018.
one of the most popular games out there right now.
Mhm.
You know, so
And then
It's
what?
difficult because both
In
are
2
correct.
weeks, in 2 weeks, Animal Crossing is going to be popular on this channel.
Yes, because it's going to be hashtag Joe plays Animal Crossing.
no, I don't think it's just Joe plays Animal Crossing now. For some reason, I think this was an excuse to get all of us playing Animal Crossing.
Right, but
I
okay,
don't
but
own a
even
Switch.
so,
I'm sorry.
but we know that it tortures you. So I will enjoy it even more. Like I
I'm
play it and
expecting
I
an
have
Animal
fun.
Crossing basket for like Christmas or something like this.
Like I have fun when I play Animal Crossing, knowing how much you hate it will just make me have so much more fun.
drives me
Ten's
nuts
reaction
too,
in
Joe.
chat right now is
Yes, 10. I will be playing Animal Crossing for a week straight, maybe 2 weeks, every night for 2 hours, 4 hours on the weekends. And
Joe made the mistake of double dog daring me and me and Matt
Backfired.
and our communities to not make him play Animal Crossing.
I have to be fair. I used Cade's name in vain just to get a few extra likes.
Mhm.
all right, if you didn't listen to a previous podcast that we had on, our last episode, we had a fantastic benefit stream last weekend or 2 weekends ago
2 weekends.
that we raised money to make more mental health kits for the holiday season, and right now we're at like we'll have 115 kits out by the end of this week. Northeastern snowstorm crushed us for shipping, but
Yep.
yeah, mail did not go out yesterday.
No.
But with everybody's combined and efforts and so many amazing stream blocks and everything, I'm staggering because there's just so much information that happened over that weekend. It was just so overwhelming and just fantastic. We raised $4,500, and
Right.
one of the things was I threw a thing out was one, if we raise this much at the beginning on Friday, I'll leave in F-bombs and bad curse words in the podcast. Two,
Was that for this podcast?
no.
And we said,
Oh.
yeah. I was gonna say we said fuck that.
really, you got to make me edit like more? Take a lap.
I got excited. I was just about to let a slew of curse words go.
Yeah, no, it's not
Let the
this
New
one.
Yorker out.
Yeah, exactly.
But
you made
last-
Nate disappear.
The last thing was if we raise this much, I'll play Animal Crossing on stream. And it was just like, as soon as these two knuckleheads saw it, they were just like, oh dang, this is gonna happen.
I was like, leg out.
Yeah.
Make it happen.
Yep. After Christmas, I will be playing Animal Crossing on stream. I will take one of my daughter's Switches. I will hook it up in my office because they're sleeping. They're not going to need it. And I'll play Animal Crossing on stream, and we'll have some fun. We'll have some good conversations. You'll help me build the island up, and we'll have some fun. I'll make
It's gonna be wholesome content.
wholesome, very wholesome,
Very
great,
wholesome.
great stuff. And
While we drink, very wholesome.
and then I'll burn the game after 2 weeks. And
Don't you dare!
I'll trade it in for Fallout 76.
Don't you make me call Tom Nook.
Do it.
I will.
Get him on the phone. No, but it'll be fantastic, and it's if that's what everybody wants me to do and us to do together, we'll absolutely do it. I mean, it's all about fun and
Torturing
positive.
Joe.
Yeah.
It's all about torturing Joe.
All right.
I earmarked $500 just for it. I was down for it. If it didn't happen, I had a blank checkbook.
I was ready to go half with
Right?
Nate if it didn't
Yeah.
happen.
I mean, Roderick, you want to play some Animal Crossing with me, man? God damn it. If you can't
I
see,
would rather start my Switch on fire than play Animal Crossing.
Okay. What about Back for Blood? Did you see the trailer for that? It's like Left 4
That's
Dead.
the Left 4 Dead rejects, for lack of
Something
a better
that.
term.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So I'm really excited to get that. I know the alpha's coming out here soon, and I'm like, I was a really big Left 4 Dead 2 fan and player, and I'm looking forward to this. But if you want a game that'll scratch that itch too,
Left 4
from
Dead
our
2?
friends over at Hollow Spark, Earthfall is a really good one too, and it's Left 4 Dead with aliens. So it's a 4-player from A to B, and they have a very fun game right there, and it's a lot of fun. And that's a smaller studio out in Washington area. They some old Bungie devs or Destiny devs and stuff like that. So it was really, they made some really cool games, and I'm really looking forward to their next expansion that comes out here soon. And that's me. That's it. I think that's all we have for the podcast tonight.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. We did get a review on iTunes
Oh no.
that I was that I'm going to read. I'm looking at it now. Sorry.
Okay.
The subject is so good with 3
Okay.
exclamation points.
Okay.
So we're good. I think this is going to be a positive review, guys. Okay, my self-esteem got better. Funny, informative, all around great listen. Keep up the good work. This is from apples_AANDA.
Hey.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so
Apples.
much. We appreciate it. We
Our first
appreciate it.
review, and it's positive.
Yeah. Yeah. Guys,
We've had them.
please leave
We
us
just don't check them.
if you enjoy the
We should-
podcast, if you like us, if you love Animal Crossing, if you hate Animal Crossing, if you like Torturing Joe, leave us a comment. Leave us a comment saying how much we're terrible. Leave us a comment saying how much Joe is terrible. However you want to put it,
Why are you focusing it on me?
because I love you.
Because Joe's wrong.
I'm
Because
the
Joe is just wrong.
I'm the kindergartner. I pull on your beard because I like you. Anyway, just leave us a review. It really does help us out. It spreads the podcast around. That's iTunes, Podbean, Spotify, Stitcher, Stitchbean,
Wherever
whatever
you
ones
get
are
your
out there.
podcast.
Wherever you get the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Um,
we really, really appreciate your comments and your reviews. And leaving us a review helps the podcast grow, gets us higher up on those categories and everything, so more people can find us and we can share our content and wonderful dispositions of each other.
Indeed. Roderick, if we want to find and follow you on the socials, how do we do that?
You can check out my website at wise3d.com. That will point you to my ArtStation. Also, artstation.com
Wise, WISE 3D?
WEISE 3D.com. Or at Roderick Weise, I think is my Twitter handle.
Awesome.
Perfect. Perfect.
Oh, man. I'm checking it out right now. That art station is just... Every
It
time
is.
I see it, it's
ArtStation is such a great site.
freaking gorgeous. Absolutely
Yeah,
amazing.
I showed
I've
one of
got
my
some
buddies
fan
tonight.
art that I will be throwing up there hopefully in the next, probably after the holiday, I'd say.
Yeah?
Awesome.
Why does it, every time I hear the word fan art, my mind goes just
Well,
I don't know.
get your mind out of there.
I'm watching the wrong fan art apparently.
Yes. Tisk tisk.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
Joe
no.
just caught on.
Okay.
That's
That's saucy. All right. And if you want to find us, go check us out on Twitter, GuardiansMH. You will also find us. We have a new announcement as well. We are verified Discord server. We are also now partnered with Discord. So you will find our partnered verified server over on Discord.
Yeah.
You can find links to that pinned to our Twitter and other socials. Follow us on Twitch at GuardiansMH and listen to us, review us, and if you want more information about mental health or mental health resources and helping us promote mental health awareness and getting the word out and find more useful, meaningful information and more of our content, check out our website at guardiansmh.org.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And I love being able to say, join our Discord at discord.gg/guardiansmh.
Boom.
I
there it
love
is.
that URL, right?
beautiful.
It is.
And I'll do everything in my power not
Oh.
to screw it up and like change the wording so all the other links go bad. It's like, it's Guardians MH. Oh, it's Guardians GMH now. And it's
No.
going to be, it's going to be discord.gg/Joe loves Animal Crossing.
Yes, it will.
That'll be a long one.
I love that you fell on that sword.
Yep, totally did. Can't go an episode without mentioning Animal Crossing. Love it.
So, by the way, who do you think it was that asked that question on Guardian Down?
Gee, I wonder who it was.
Who?
So I guessed last week I had the honor of guesting with some of our friends Gator and Hazelnut over on Guardians Down podcast, and they have a wonderful community, so supportive, a lot of friends of ours, and
And then Nate.
boy, do those guys record for a long time.
Yeah.
That was a long one. Like, it was like 2 a.m. Like, I had one eye open, and they wanted to talk about a mental health topic. I'm like, I'm gonna try and get through this. It came out pretty good though. I was very proud.
No,
of it.
I will say that was probably one of the best descriptions of what we do here. Like you went into it, and you went into it with heart and soul.
Oh, well,
Like I listened to that episode. I'm like, oh, yeah. Like I forget who you guessed it on that brought me into the server, but this one, yeah,
It was a good one.
it was a very good one.
Well. Now I forgot completely what I was talking about.
Yeah, I know. I'm good
but
at deflecting.
they get to
You're not bringing up the fact that someone on our staff brought up an Animal Crossing question.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, the person that wrote in this community question said staff. So, yeah, staff member. And it's like, Jesus, I wonder who this is. Yep. The only person for the last 9 months that consecutively brings up Animal Crossing in any way, shape, or form on every single episode
What me?
is Nate. And Nate, not only now, has alienated Matt to do so as well for like the last 3 months.
True.
What me?
True. It's true.
It's just straight facts right there, to be honest.
What me?
Was it me?
Wasn't
Saw me on the bathroom? Wasn't me.
Wasn't me.
Did you just vent? Is that what I just saw?
Caught me in the
All
shower?
right.
Wasn't me.
I don't know. Nate's kind of sus right now. I'm not gonna lie.
Whoa.
We gotta vote Nate out. Are we playing Among Us? What?
I think we're playing Among Us right now on the podcast. No.
Wasn't me.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us for another episode of Guardians Mental Health Podcast. And we are going to be done until after the new year.
No.
So you
Back
have
after the new year.
Yep. Enjoy the rest of your holidays and your new year. We will see you the week after New Year's, and I believe we have an amazing lineup of people and guests to kick off the year. So it's going to be really exciting. A couple surprises in there. You're going to love it.
Surprises.
And, we'll be on season 4.
Surprises.
So, be 4 seasons of Guardians podcast, which is absolutely amazing. See, a lot of people, we trick people because I think we're on, like, episode, like, 77. But when you think about it and, like, people look at it, it's like episode 27. It's like, oh, well, season 3. But if you put them all end to end, since we record bi-weekly, we've recorded more this year than we have in previous years, but we've got a lot
For a while.
Yeah,
we've been doing this for a while.
We've been doing this for a long time. And you know what? I look forward to it every single time, and I look forward to spending time with good friends, good people, and Roderick, buddy, man, I can't thank you enough for coming on, chatting with us about this. When you are able to talk about that new content and everything, projects that you're working on, dude, please. Let's chat about it. We'll throw it up on screen and everything, and we'll have a really, really good time, man.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. Yeah, I'm
And,
excited to
shoot 'em a
share with
DM.
everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's play some video games this weekend. Yeah?
Okay. Oh,
I'm
you're
down.
talking to Roderick.
Not you. I'm talking about.
All right, fine.
Hey, I'm always down to play video games. If I'm not making dice or doing other things, art,
If I'm
Building
not making
stuff.
video games, I'm playing video games.
Yep.
Would you be interested in a Dungeons and Dragons game, my friend?
Ooh.
I have yet to play Dungeons and Dragon. We did have several groups at Bungie that would play, but because I lived so far from work, they would start playing at like 5 o'clock.
Mm.
They'd play for like 4 hours, and so it was like, I can't really do that, especially after work. But yeah, I'd be down to play some D&D on a weekend or something like that. Yeah,
Beautiful.
I play Magic now, which is awesome. Like one of the things that I missed the most about Bungie and
Magic.
about COVID hitting was playing Magic. Like over here, I have like, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 commander decks.
Oh my god.
And
been
so we
so
played a lot.
long.
We played every Thursday at Bungie. We'd play for an hour, maybe 2 hours over lunch. And
That's a long lunch.
we just started kind of picking that up now. So Thursday nights, we play Magic. And you got, I think it's called Belltop or something. I have it bookmarked. It's basically a website where you can like have 4 people playing, and it like shows everything on the screen, and you can you tilt your webcam down so you can see all the cards, and then the other players can take and like double click on the screen on like your card, and this app will like pull up the card and like what it does and all that stuff.
That's
so
interesting.
yeah, we've started
Nice.
gotten kind of back into the groove of playing Magic. So yeah, D&D would be fun.
Sounds good. And 10 is in the chat right now saying, okay, but what about Dungeons and Destiny online?
Ain't nobody
And-
got time for Destiny.
I'm saying yes because I really want to play that again because that was so much fun. But
Same.
we can do both. We can do both. We have the technology. We can rebuild.
I love it. And you know what? On that note, we are going to end the podcast. Now, are we going to
Are we raiding?
Raid anybody? Is anybody on?
Let's raid someone.
That's
Are we
right.
gonna
Bill?
go say hi to anybody? Who's on?
Who's on?
Bill the Conqueror.
Bill?
Bill's on.
Oh, let's do Bill.
Let's do Bill.
Okay. All right. We will do Bill as soon as I figure out.
He's got 4 people.
Let me
Go give him some love.
okay, we're
Yeah,
gonna
give
him
Bill some love. Bill's
We're
good.
We're gonna give
He's a
Bill
solid
some,
dude.
The worst thing about raids and everything is when people have long names and spell their names all kind of weird and stuff. It's like I gotta make sure that it's absolutely freaking right, or I'm gonna look like a schmuck.
Bill the
Which-
Corner.
which is
No, it's not
pretty
Bill the
easy to do.
Corner. It's Bill the Conqueror.
U-E-R. E-R.
How to spell conqueror.
Hey, I did it right.
And to think I'm the old man on the podcast.
Oh, dude, it's been a long week, long day.
It's been a while.
It indeed has. But thank you, everybody. Hang out for just a second and say hi to Bill for us. And
Yes,
we
please.
will catch you next time.
All right.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye. And we are on Bill. We're on Bill.
We're on Bill.
We're connecting to chat.
We are raiding with a party of
We're
10.
yep.
Nice. And Bill is just... Yep.
What is he
And commercial.
doing? Oh.
Do we have commercials on ours?
We do.
Whoa, Kool-Aid Man! Woohoo! When soda's gone,
I thought I turned it
Kool-Aid
off.
is on. Get more smiles per gallon.
Yeah, if you're not a sub, we get ads.
Very cool. Operator.
Wow, Bill matches his window, his overlay, his shirt.
Right.
It's yellow and
Okay.
black, and then he's got the yellow and black shirt.
That's a lot of chaos.
It's good chaos though,
Yeah.
and we're gonna hit them with pies.
Oh, we're doing
All right.
pies are-
What?
Hold on.
Oh, there's
Hi,
Doc.
Dr. Goku. Everybody loves Dr. Goku.
Who just said hi, Dr. Goku?
Yes, as they should.
Who said that?
It's somebody in his fire team.
Oh.
Oh.
Absolutely.
It was just the most. Hi, Dr. Goku. No, good stuff. Unfortunately for me, it's not going to be a game night for me. Since we got the blizzard, we got 43 inches of snow was our total
Ooh.
snowfall. So
And I'm complaining. Never mind. Ignore me.
we actually nobody reported to work or anything like that on Thursday. So tomorrow is the makeup day. Driving around the city today was just ridiculous because cars were literally abandoned, like turning into side roads and into like gas stations and stuff that got stuck in the entrances of these streets and businesses, and they just left them there. Abandoned the car. They got plowed in, and they're still there, most of them. And right now, the city that I'm in, Johnson City and Binghamton,
Super cool.
are struggling to find a place to put the snow because there's so much of it.
I put this backdrop on because I knew what was going on over there. Yeah.
Really? You did that for our benefit?
Uh-huh.
See,
Joe.
what I don't enjoy is actually what I don't envy. Where Roderick lives now, like -4 degrees is like a Tuesday to him.
Yeah.
So, like, it gets pretty cold over where you are, aren't you?
No,
You're
I've-
on the other
I've lived
side
all
of
over the world. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, when I left Minnesota to head out to the West Coast, it was on average like -40 during the winter time. And I think last winter they had
I still wanted to
one of the
play
worst
it.
weather
You don't know